Barnes. Here. Mike Bell.
Here.
Bill Britton.
Here.
Bob Garrett.
Here.
Tim Horner.
Here.
Keith Jackson.
Here.
Matt Lacy.
Present.
Pat McGuffin.
Here.
Lucas Norfolk.
Here.
Ron Rush.
Here. Okay, thank you for coming out today. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Okay, if there's no public comments, we'll move forward with the approval of the minutes. You have those in your packet. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second? Motion and a second. Any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Comments are approved. Amy?
Okay, the financial information was sent out yesterday, hopefully you received that. Not a lot of extra activity going on in the month. Net increase in net position was just over 81,000 for the month, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but it's pretty straightforward.
Questions of Amy on the financials? I did notice in the LGIP that the rates are starting to move back up some. We're at 0.37, where we were down to about 0.04 or something like that earlier. So the rates are starting to pick up a little bit on those accounts. Any other questions?
We'll cash in.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a windfall here.
Yeah, big money, big money.
All right.
Buy dinner.
Dennis?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Dennis.
First comment I'd like to make is extremely pleased with the work that the employees are doing, the progress that's moving forward. Got a lot accomplished, and then again, it seems like we didn't get anything accomplished. If that makes sense. The T-Dex, we don't have this month's inspection yet. He hasn't been there for this month, but last month, everything was good except there was 2 violations, and that, I'm sure Steve will address this further on the closure part, the erosion that's taking place there. Investigation, we think the product used was inferior. And he's supposed to meet with them sometime next week, I believe, he said. But, several other things I need to talk about. I just don't know when I should need to talk about them. One being a tire issue. There's a surcharge that we're getting for tractor tire. We're paying that $160 a ton, then we're paying them $27 a ton extra on top of that.
On every ton?
Yes, but no, on every tire. On every tire.
Tractor tire?
Every tractor tire that gets put in that load, we get charged $27 extra for that tire.
That's the big tractor tire.
Yeah. He's equipped to handle at that $156 a ton, whatever it is he charges us. He's equipped to handle 18-wheeler tire, tractor trailer tire. That's as big as he can handle. Anything over that, there's that surcharge plus the weight. So that's quite a bit of money.
How many tractor tires do we take in a month, Dennis? I mean, I'm sure, I know it varies, but on average.
Average, $12, $15.
Not quite a ton.
Oh yeah, it's probably a ton, yeah. Those 15 tires, they're what, 300-400 pounds each, some of them more than that, so.
I guess it depends on what size. I mean,
Right, it does. So that's one thing that's something to think about, if we need to address
So
that.
we're, do we charge more taking in a tractor tire? We do.
No, we don't.
We just
We just-
charge the same
But
ton.
when we figured it up at tonnage, by paying for it by tonnage, it was covering it. But the surcharge that he puts on it, that
It
takes
ain't
that
covered.
out, no, that's gone.
How many, on average, does it take to make a ton?
We get a ton a month.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say, no, as few as 10 can do it. And then just depends on the size of it.
So we're looking at about $30 a month. $27 a ton.
No, per tire,
They're charging
tire.
27 per tire?
per
Yeah.
tire.
Okay.
So if we get 15 tires, that's 27 times 15.
That makes a little difference.
Yes.
The ones that you're getting now, I mean, you know that they're coming in, or are they
No.
trying to?
No, we don't know, they just come in a load.
So you could have one buried down in the bottom of the low tires, you wouldn't even know.
We wouldn't even know it.
And you don't know whose it is.
But it seems like the majority of them that comes in will be coming from like co-op or some place like that. And you can usually see them unless they get smart and bury them too, but.
But we do charge more.
Who's charging?
We're just charging the tonnage. So
Yeah,
we-
just a ton.
So we need to address charging $27 more a tire?
Just for the tractor.
Just
For the
for
track,
that.
I realize that.
Yeah.
Well, right on the farm range line. Everywhere we turn.
It just might be a dumb question, but if you cut them like in 4 pieces.
They'll take 'em.
They'll take them.
Yeah.
No surcharge.
That's not easy.
Yeah, but that's,
I don't know what you'd have to.
you're a half a day job cutting a tractor tire.
With a Mickey saw, with a gas powered Mickey saw, I mean 3 cuts, correct? 2 cuts?
Quarters, that's the way he wanted them, quarters, so 4, so.
So
yeah.
three cuts.
You can either do that or just don't reject them, don't take them.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, you can do it.
No, we can't do that, we gotta take them.
Ask the source to cut before they bring it.
Or you don't, they.
Oh, hey, give them an option. It's $27, and we just, or you cut them,
You could,
you cut them, and then we'll take them, and it'll be the same as bringing tires.
yeah, that's,
Put a note on the window.
I wouldn't cut a tire for $27.
Me too. I would take it.
that's why when you asked me if we could cut them, yeah, we can cut them.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that way they can say, well, we can either go back and do it, or we pay it.
There you go.
Not just saying, you gotta pay this. Does that make sense?
It does,
I mean, there's gonna be somebody over
yeah. it
These
does.
farmers are tight, man. They're tight, I promise. They have to be.
Okay, we need a motion on that.
cutting?
A skill saw, probably.
No,
Like a sawzall
what happens is that you gotta have something with,
Long blade.
well, it's gotta be,
Steel.
it can't be too many RPMs, it builds up too much heat and sticks the blade.
Okay. Like
The best thing to cut is a hydraulic shear.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but you're
Armored
talking-
all of them got them.
Yeah, you're talking some money there, so.
So,
But it can be cut.
So they're gonna pay $27, sound like, cause they can't cut them.
And the reason being is because he cannot cut them, and he don't want to buy that machine, so he ships them to Atlanta. He doesn't even fool it.
Always something about tires.
Yeah.
I think I make a motion, we just put a sign up, either you cut them in quarters, or you pay $27 an extra tire.
Will they take them in halves, or just they want them in quarters?
Well, I can find out, but when I had the conversation with him, he said, he quartered it. He said in quarters.
okay, so we have a motion to change our tire fee policy, $27 a tractor tire or in quarters. So we have a second?
Second.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I did. I hate to, considering I'll be the one out there paying the $27.
Flats tomorrow.
We'll let you work it out.
I'll just put them on the side of the road. Speaking of the side of the road, I wish we could talk. Can we get on not picking up the garbage? I know this is probably not the right time. I'm talking about with the claw, picking up trash off the side of the road. I think we eliminate only the brush truck for brush only.
You may put you on commission.
I would
You,
vote,
I mean,
I would vote for that.
our county is trashed. Every other house has got a pile of garbage and a garbage can. We provide free curb pickup in a can.
I'd vote for
Put it in a can. If you got too much for one can, get 2 cans.
Speak 3 minutes to commission, right? You can go up there.
I'll give you 5.
I mean, and it would help us. The reason I'm saying that, we wouldn't be commingling brush with garbage, and then we're having to take all that to the hill instead of doing what we do with our brush.
A lot of that's just education. I mean.
You quit picking it up, it'll get
When
educated.
when it started, if it didn't go in the can, they wasn't gonna pick it up.
What's wrong with
And then
that?
they started picking it up. And
Who
they-
did?
Barry Poole.
Well, then Barry Poole needs to quit picking it up.
And then if you mix it, they won't separate it. We could burn a lot, but they won't if it's
Right.
mixed.
That's what I'm saying.
it.
Now
Right.
he's running 2 trucks by the same route.
They don't pick it up.
I mean, the city does it.
What?
So they separate
They're
it.
separate.
Yeah. But I don't see why we even pick it up when you got a can. Put it in a can if you got too much. We don't charge anything for your residents to bring garbage out here.
No,
You take it yourself.
I agree with you.
I mean, we're all taxpayers here. Or I am anyway.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Just sorry.
No,
I'm
we
on a
have-
rampage. I just got.
You might have round 2. We have that on the agenda.
Appreciate it.
We'll come back to that.
Let's
Dennis?
get warmed up.
Okay, there you go. Have anything else, Dennis?
The permit specs that we needed to do to keep the burner are finished for this fiscal year. We have 13 months to decide what to do in the future about the burner, whether we're gonna move it, if you're going to be expanding there, or that. To keep the permit, those specs will have to be met 13 months from now. But as of now, we're good for 13 months.
So if we decide to move it, then it's got to be built by the
Back
end
and
of that
running
and
13 months from now, yeah. And
When was the last time you burned in it?
I burned in it periodically, just to
Keep it going.
burn, yeah. The last time I burned in it was to do this VE test. 2 hours after I'd done that test, the fan came apart. So it got us through what we needed to do to keep the permit, so.
We're going to move it anyway. I mean, it's got to be taken down regardless. So.
Maybe.
Right.
That could be something,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's coming up or what. Depends on the future. I didn't know if you found out anything about the backside.
Oh, I have not, no.
Yeah. That's just something in the future.
An option we're looking at there to move toward the back, if that works out, so.
So, are you needing a motion to move it or something?
No,
Or just-
no.
He just explaining the.
Not,
We got a permit for now for
Okay.
13 months.
yeah.
How long does it take to get the permit renewed? What kind of lead time do we have?
As long as the burner's running, 3 hours I can do what I need to do to keep that permit satisfied. I think it comes up to to get it, the permit renewed is, I think we're still like 2 or 3 years away from that. But to keep the permit, you have to do this every year.
Every 13.
Once every 13 months.
What would, I know the burner's not in good shape, but what would it take, how much money would it take to get it in working order?
Now, with the damage it took here that last, I still think we could do it under 50,000.
I mean, it'd be
And that's with
beneficial.
us doing all of it.
But regardless, it's got to be moved. One line.
Maybe. And the reason why I'm saying that, there's a piece of property that could be a possibility
Oh, I mean,
on the backside, and if we actually expand the landfill that way, instead of where it's going,
yeah.
which, to move the burner and reestablish it with concrete and everything, you're probably looking at $250,000 to $300,000.
But we shouldn't spend money to bring it up to speed if we're gonna move it.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Carry on.
All right.
I think that's about it.
Okay. Any questions for Dennis?
Oh, well, he might wanted me to check on prices of the truck and stuff. When I got down with the numbers that Steve gave me and the amount of dirt that has to be moved for me to do it, and even getting a truck and somebody, realistically, we're probably looking at 8-10 months for us to move that dirt. We don't have that time. It's 230,000 cubic yards in first expansion, phase one. Then 200 and what? 90 in the second one. So just 2 or 3 people, that's,
So you're saying stay out of it, bid it out?
I say, if we're going that way, let me get what I can get every day. And even when they start moving it, we can still move it. We use it, for daily cover or whatever. We can still help the cost. We're not gonna be able to.
Absorb it all, I get it.
Yeah. It's a time thing, and we just don't have.
We have a crunch. We're at a crunch time,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Would you do that with a pan or a track hoe and a truck?
That ground is extremely hard there. The scraper will not do it, so it's gotta be done with a track hoe
If you had a
truck.
scraper, you'd have to have a dozer.
Yeah, it has to be done pretty much with a track hoe truck. That ground is. The reason, because it's been a road all of its life. So every time the landfill come up a foot, so did that road. And it's extremely tight.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it, unless y'all have any questions.
May have room for round 2 down here.
Yeah.
Steve?
Okay. We did the May gas monitoring and submitted that report to TDEC. We've still got those 2 old probes that are showing some hits on methane, and the state just at this point won't let them go, but I think in the future maybe we can get them to back off on those. At the property line and anything off-site, there's nothing. But these are...
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Ryan, last time he inspected us, he was gonna look into that and wonder why he's still gotta write us up for it. Because it's not anything we're doing wrong, it's still on us.
It's
So
one
he's wanting verification of why they're still doing it.
and it's one person.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll retire.
Yeah.
Your ammonia levels on your leachate are still in that 400 milligram per liter range. They'll go up a little bit and then they'll drop down, and it's just a matter of it seems like it's kind of following the rainfall when they climb and fall, but they're still less than 30% of what you were at before Dennis repaired the scrubber. The annual stormwater report for TDEC has been prepared and submitted. Annual leachate report, sample report for TDEC's been prepared and submitted. The EPA greenhouse gas report, we got, I think the middle of the week, we got a couple comments from EPA, which are the same comments that we get every year, and those are based around the landfill used to be a bale field landfill, and it's not bale field anymore. And we just send them the same response and tell them that over and over every year, and then they approve the report. So we've done that yesterday. I got that resubmitted. Your annual engineering report required by TDEC was submitted. On the closure, on the erosion in the ditches. Dennis and I and Patrick met out there. I actually got a physical sample of what was supposed to be used to stabilize those ditches, and it didn't even resemble what they put down. So
What are they saying?
nothing at this point. But I'm gonna set a meeting next week. I couldn't do it this week, but we're gonna show them, here's what you were supposed to put down, now fix it. There's not gonna be any, they don't really have a choice but to fix it. Then the QA/QC report is complete, other than we've got to get those ditches repaired before we can submit that to TDEC. The landfill expansion, Part 1 application was reviewed by TDEC. We had a couple comments, we responded to them. You've got a copy of the letter from Brianna Rivas or Rives, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but they're ready to, and there's also a copy of their draft public notice in there and the map that they prepared. The public note, they'll send that out. There'll have to be a copy of it posted at City Hall, and Bill, there'll have to be a copy posted at the courthouse. Did you get in touch with them, Stephanie, on setting that paper? Did you? But they use the, what is it called? The state, they use a state service to publish those. So they'll be, and they'll take care of that, getting those published. Other than, let's see, and it'll be in the classified section of the Citizen Tribune. And I think the state has other websites or whatever they publish those on, so they're ready. They're ready to get that published. The hydro-geo report and the plans have been sent to TDEC. We got a comment on the hydro-geo from Sarah Drummond, and I said being addressed by the geotech. They have responded to her to address those comments. And as soon as they, talking to Ravinder, as soon as they publish that Part 1, then we'll be meeting with them to go over our design and the hydro-geo. And then we looked at some potential land on the back side of the landfill, and I think that's on your unfinished business section. Other than that, that's about it. Anybody got any questions?
I will make a note, the letter has a wrong address on it, and I emailed Brianna to change that before they mailed it out.
I did too.
Okay, all right. They had it going to Columbia, Tennessee, so I'll see that was a copy and paste error. That's been corrected.
No, we're doing this, and
I didn't either, so anyway, she corrected that.
That's a cut and paste thing.
Yeah. Any questions for Steve? Okay, if not, we'll move on to unfinished business. And Matt, we're back to, well, first of all, we had discussed a little bit about any need we might have to divert trash, to divert waste temporarily, but I don't know that that's necessary at this point. Dennis, what are your thoughts on that?
Not at this point, but if something don't happen in the near future, yes, if we're gonna have to do something, if we want to extend the life of that land.
So,
If the purchase comes through, to my understanding, that back part, we can pretty much go to work there.
You're talking about the class 3?
Yeah.
You need
discussions with GFL on that? Did you do the LOI or whatever? You all, for that demolition landfill? Y'all didn't mail anything? Oh, I thought you all were gonna do that.
Sounds to me like we need to do it.
Well, that's what they were asking for, but, yeah, I thought you all had, were gonna do one and submit it to them, or,
Well, we need, I guess what we need, what the city and county needs, is this board to take action and request that we purchase that property. And then you would issue the letter of intent to do that.
We need to make that motion.
We would need the terms of the purchase, to make the motion, right?
Do we just make a motion that we proceed to make the purchase?
yeah.
Do
We
we
could just make a motion,
take
take steps.
steps in, right?
So,
It's the 16 acres, and then you're all class 3, which is what, 55 acres?
Sounds great.
So, I mean, I'll make a motion that we at least move forward to try to purchase it. I think we're somewhere around $700,000 is what they'd asked.
As long as all parties are on board.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
That's split city county.
Yeah,
Yes.
in the motion request that the city and county pursue purchase of the property, or make the request that the city and county
okay.
purchase the property for expansion.
You got all that, Stephanie?
Okay, let's back up. So,
Can I add something, just for the benefit of the county commission and the city council? When this board was created, the original charter said that should additional land be required, the city and county would purchase it, and we need to include that in the motion just for
Clarification.
for the city council and the county commission.
And I mentioned it to the commission at our budget overview on Tuesday. And we've included in next year's budget money for our part.
Steve, you might get with them and find out what contingencies we need to put in there. You know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought it
So, yeah, if we can get that, we can include that in any LOI too.
Because you know better than, you know, make sure all.
So you all will be in touch with them? You don't know, you all need anything other than,
I know, last thing I heard is they're waiting on, I guess, the letter.
Okay.
That's
So
the
we
last I heard.
we need to get moving forward with that?
Right, the ball's in our court.
Yeah,
We need to
we
move.
need to be going with it. We don't need to be dragging our feet and waiting till next meeting if that's possible.
okay, let's talk through this motion then. So the motion, y'all correct me. So the motion would be, that this board would approve recommending to the city, Morristown City and Hamlin County, to purchase the 16 acres and the 55-acre Class 3, subject to final approval of the terms of the purchase and any contingencies to be worked out regarding the status of the properties. Would that work?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
That's your motion, and I
So
second
are
it.
you okay with that motion? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Okay,
So,
so Pat made a motion. Matt, you second.
Yes, sir.
We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, let's call the roll on that one.
Mike Bell,
Yes.
Bob Garrett,
Yes.
Tim Warner,
Yes.
Keith Jackson,
Yes.
Matt Lacy.
Yes.
Pat McGuffin.
yes.
Victor Norfolk,
Yes.
Tom Rush.
Yes.
Bill, when do you need those?
Yesterday.
Okay.
I like how you're on the ball.
Okay, take that to your board or to the commissioner. I'll try to put those together over the week, if that's okay. That'd be great.
Okay. We're kind of all over the place on the agenda here, but we'll get through it. We talked earlier about separating the loads, and I don't know who needs to have that conversation, maybe with the road department, just to see what they can do. But
I've talked to Barry about it, and, I mean, we didn't settle on anything, but I mentioned to him that this board, and about the life of the landfill, et cetera. So we talked a little bit about how it would be done. One thing, and I also talked with Tony Cox about the LOIs and other things, and one thing Tony asked me about was, could there be a separate tipping fee for the brush, if it's separated? And could it be a lower tipping fee than, say, the trash and C&D? And see, that could offset the additional costs involved in picking it up separate.
What is wrong with not picking up the garbage?
Yeah.
Well, he's just talking about.
Right, I agree, but yeah.
yeah,
He's talking about is there's gonna be extra there's gonna be extra cost in running another truck to pick up the garbage to offset that. He's wanting a cheaper price on the brush, understandably so. I would too. But I don't think we should be picking up the garbage, period.
There's the fix.
Now you're talking, when you say garbage,
I'm talking about household garbage that are on the side of the road on the corner that are in garbage bags. Most of it's not. It's scattered up and down the road, and there's houses that their yard has a hole right next to their driveway where that claw is dug every other week or two. They go by there and they fill that hole full of garbage. That's horse crap. Leslie Price chewed my onion out, and I said, "Whoa, go to the road department. Get off me, solid waste board." He chewed me yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Which actually not supposed to be in the ditch. That's violation of federal law, clean water runoff.
Right, and it's littering. And all we need to do is put it in the paper. We ain't picking it up no more. And if you pile it up at the road, you're getting a fine for littering, because that's what it is.
there you go.
There's no reason for us to be going around with a claw truck picking up people's garbage. We're all paying for it, taxpayers.
Since road department.
And they're short-handed.
Yeah.
I mean,
now you're not
They can
talking,
rent a dumpster.
They can rent
they rent a dumpster. We got a dumpster people right here. More than set one out. Hey, the city will even put one of those cars out, won't they?
Yes.
Hey, Matt, the ones that are not doing that are the ones that are paying the price.
Yeah.
I know.
That's right.
That's my point.
That's right.
People that are taking advantage of it probably ain't even paying taxes.
Then you got the dumpster divers.
I agree with
They
you.
go through them and do like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Marshtown is dirty because of us.
We created it. We let them be.
we'll proceed our discussions.
I think you should probably have that discussion with Barry too, don't you? I mean, since they're the ones picking it up. And my other concern, and I agree with you, because I see the same holes, if we don't pick it up, is it gonna get worse? You know, if we don't educate people to take it out.
Not if you find
Not
it.
if you find
If you affect their back pocket, eventually it'll quit. Now, there's gonna be a period of time where it's gonna sit there and rot on the side of the road. But I'll tell you what you do, you give them about 10 days.
Yeah.
Say 10 days, if this is not picked up, you're gonna get a ticket. There's a code, does the county not have a codes enforcement officer? What do?
They enforce they work with the highway department, or not highway, the garbage,
I believe that'd be a good way to pay some of his salary for about 2 years.
They don't have as much authority as the city does, I guess. The guy came and talked to us, and he was just saying that you can do more finding and stuff in the city than you can in the county.
Which is crap.
In our property maintenance code is only enforceable in subdivisions.
Yeah.
But you can still put all your household garbage at the road. And hope that our nice county department will come by and pick their garbage up. And a lot of it's remodeling, and I guarantee you a lot of it's contractors remodeling stuff and putting their stuff at the road.
We've addressed that, codes enforcement addresses that. Some, does he do it on all of them? No.
Well, because some people take the rap, oh, that's my stuff. But they didn't haul it off. that's a thorn in my hind end, I'll be honest. Well, I
Well,
mean, it's probably because a lot of it's on my road.
Well, going back to the loads mixed, when the county brings in one of their mixed loads, what percentage of that is brush, would you say?
it depends, mostly, we tell them if it's 50%, that's gotta go, so.
To the
I
top
don't
of it.
know, so I don't know what's on the trucks, but if they picked up a lot of garbage, they just take it on the hill now, but.
When I was
We do what we can do with what we got. I don't have anybody burning full-time, which, that could be the immediate solution, is putting somebody full-time there and me
Well, you
hauling
got-
up, but.
But first you gotta get separated. When I was out there signing checks, I asked you, out of all those trucks coming in, what's the percentage of them that's got garbage that gotta go to the top of the hill? And you told me it was what?
Like 30 or something.
No, it was more than that.
Only all of
Very few of them go to the brush pile, county-wise.
Yes,
The
you
city, you
talk about
burn a lot of
garbage,
city brush,
not the truck, right?
but the
No, I'm
county,
talking about the brush truck.
they said none of them hardly go to the burn pile.
But
They
you
all
talk
go
about to
to
the
the top of
garbage
the
that's
hill.
in the truck?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He's talking about the amount of times they do that.
separate.
Well, what I was trying to think, if it's,
Yeah,
if 50% of that load they bring in is brush, I mean, that could be burnt.
yes.
And that's taking up a lot of space.
Right, but somebody's gotta separate that.
That's worth,
Yes.
well, that's what I'm saying, maybe if we do what he said, the mayor said, if we say it's $28 a ton, if it's just brush.
Yeah.
and it's
Well, that
$28.
would give the county an incentive to separate it.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, but back to my point, we should be picking up anyway.
Well,
Let me tell you,
that's the road department.
problem with that, we're talking about cutting revenue right here.
And we're
gonna be raising.
we're squeaking through to make it work anyway. You think, tipping fees are gonna go up with this expansion, and we go to cutting rates on brush, I think you just cut the garbage out.
That's it.
We can look at tipping fee. There's a flat amount to operate the landfill that it cost us, period, which is about $27 or $28 a ton if you go on last year's audit. And then you got, I've not looked at it from that perspective, what the tipping fee would be just on the brush. But we do have that average cost per ton just to bring anything to the landfill.
Till we do the expansion.
Do you have the data as far as, like, especially for the city loads? This much is brush and this much is bulk waste and
I
So-
send a report every month with the statements of everything that you all brought in, the trucks that's coming in.
The city, though, you separate it.
Yes.
And
So-
in their report, it separates brush and household.
so we could get an idea on how much
I
would
sent
be
it to,
brush.
Rachel,
Yeah.
she should have that.
Now, she gets the county reports, not the city reports.
When I used to drive the brush truck for Barry and them, in the spring and the fall, almost all the loads were brush that I hauled. In the middle of the summer, it turned mixed, it was always mixed. Then you get your storms, it was always brush. I don't know if that helps you any on your numbers or not, but.
Do you have a spot now for them to dump brush?
Yes,
Is it
yes.
buried or burned?
Burn.
Unless it's
We're burning
commingled.
it through the federal permit right now.
Yeah.
We have to call everyone.
So that's less labor intensive because you're not running machinery, you're not compacting,
Right.
you're not having to cover it.
The light bill's down extremely much for not letting it burn, but, yeah.
So there probably could be a justified lower fee there if we wanted to look at that, so. Okay,
We'll work on that.
okay. So, the next item we had was analysis of equipment, which you've already discussed that. So, quotes on the dump truck, I think that was included in that. The budget. So, Amy and Dennis and Stephanie and I all met at the landfill office I think a week ago Wednesday, is that correct? And we spent a couple hours or so going through and drafting the budget for the numbers that we had. There were still a couple of there were some outstanding things that we had that we didn't get in until the last couple of days, and Amy has plugged those in. So I think with the exception of the workers' comp numbers, and then we're going to approve the TCRS rate here before we leave, we've got the draft created for the budget. So what we'll do is we'll distribute that out. We can email that out to you, distribute it out. We'll have a budget work meeting on June the 10th, which is Friday at 9 o'clock. And we need to have a notice run for that meeting, Stephanie. And the whole purpose of that meeting would just be like we did last year. We just need to go through the budget a line item at a time. And,
When is that?
that'll be Friday, June the 10th at 9 o'clock in this room. Do we need to make sure this room is available before we leave here? So if you want to check with them before we leave here, just to be sure. But we'll email that out. Just some, one big item that's in there, just to give you a heads up, is we did factor in paying the interest for the first year on the debt service if we borrow that, and the tipping fee would be projected to go from 38 to 45 because all of that $7 increase would go to cover the bond interest for the first year if we proceed with the bond issue. So that is factored into that budget. And we'll get that out to you. Is that okay with everybody's schedule? We meet on June 10th.
I won't be here.
You won't be here? Okay.
I don't think so. I'm gonna look, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we'll be on vacation.
Okay.
You won't surely make the budget without me.
We'll get a report out to you if you've got any input, let us know.
Right.
So we won't actually vote on the budget until the next board meeting.
Just a workshop.
Yeah, it's just a workshop meeting, so we'll get that out to you. Any questions on the budget process? The GFL land purchase, we've discussed that. The next item I had on here is.
Can I interrupt you, Tom?
Sure.
What about, the board's taken action on to request the purchase of the 16 acres in the Class 3. What about that other section? Which is adjacent, it's next to the Class 2, right?
Patrick asked about it, and their concerns were cover dirt in the future.
That one?
If they needed cover dirt in the future, because it had, part of that was their haul, where they hauled from. But when we looked at it, we don't even think we'll need that because there's a spot that you can't build on anyway, and we can use that spot for property line boundaries. So
that at this point, they're not, that's out.
they've not priced it or.
Yeah. That other area that is, I guess you all call it your borrow area.
Yeah.
I don't know how far down you can go, but we were looking at that whole little thing that runs down that road.
Right.
It's parallel to the Hamlin County, the landfill now, on the backside.
On the backside.
Yeah, and I mentioned it to Travis, and he said that, well, the concern is if we're interested in it, we'd have to find out how many cubic yards are in it that you all could possibly take from it, and then if you all ever, a reciprocal agreement, if you all ever needed dirt, then we'd have to give you dirt somewhere from someplace.
Oh, okay.
The same amount. But I don't know how far down you can go in that area back there where those trailers and that tank are parked.
Yeah, I'm not real sure on that either, how far we can go in that.
I don't think you can go down a whole lot further in that
No.
area, but I may be wrong.
Is that something we need to look into prior to him sending that? Or do we need to
Well,
include
we still
that?
need to go ahead and move forward with that, the demolition and the 16 acres.
Right, and then we can look into that at a later date, maybe.
Would it not, would that not be the first area we would expand into?
That would be the biggest plus here.
And it would be cheaper than what we're looking at as phase 1?
Cheaper and faster.
Yes, the land's almost where you'd want it.
So does this board not want to ask the city and county to pursue purchase of some
If they're
section of
willing.
that?
If they're willing, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if that would be where we go first, where the board goes first.
Yes.
I mean,
If we had that purchase, that's where we'd move first.
Well, the only argument is that class 3 is gonna save us, time-wise.
So Steve, what's your thoughts on all that?
I think your first purchase should be that class 3
Yes.
area and the 16 acres.
Okay.
And
Getting that.
because of this, the area that you guys are talking about, do y'all have geotech on that area? Did y'all, when you go,
He didn't think he done it.
did you not do some geotech on that?
Of course, Steve, that's been so long ago.
Because my thought is, that area in particular you need to do some geotech work on, just to make sure that what's there, because in talking to Mickey Beasley, when he was running for you guys, it seemed like there was something, and I can talk to Mickey and he'll probably remember, but it seemed like there was some issue that, I guess it was tidy waste. Tidy waste ran into with that area. So, but to me, the 16 acres in the class 3 should be first, because that class 3 is really important to you guys.
Okay, let me ask this question about the 16 acres. Is there a survey of the 16 acres? I mean, is there a boundary of the 16 acres that we can refer to in any?
There's not been any survey.
No, sir.
Now, you guys can, if you've got surveyors that you use, you can do that. We've got 2 RLSs now. We could get on it and survey it fairly quickly. But whatever you want to do, if there's somebody that the county or city.
What's your fee on an hourly by a surveyor?
I don't know, honestly. I don't budget those. I don't budget it. If you've got some local person that does yours, he's gonna be cheaper right there.
Good luck finding one.
I don't know who does the surveying locally.
We'll pursue.
How large is this third track? How big is the third track?
55 or something.
Is it that big?
Well, I think the total was like 83, but I don't total.
So are we good leaving our motion where we are on the 16 acres and 55 acre class 3 for the time being?
Yes. All right.
Okay.
That's gotta be first.
Thank you, Bill,
Yeah, I think,
for bringing that up.
yeah, I mean, if it comes up in discussion, we can bring it back. We'll move forward on these 2 right now, if that's good.
Until they make their mind up whether they can.
Yes, there's a lot of money to be saved there, even if the landfill buys it. You're looking at the cost of relocating that burner, that'll go away. Just the repair of it.
Right.
And then the land being pretty close to where you need it grade wise, if it's viable land, it would be the future. Then you get that whole gully, if y'all been, a lot of y'all been there, the backside of the landfill, there's just a big gully. We get to fill all that in.
With the purchase of what?
That
The
third
purchase
phase.
of
The third.
The third, yeah.
And that would tie all that bench in.
It would tie, yeah, it would actually come right into our existing landfill and that's it.
All right. Any more discussion on the land at the moment? Okay, the next thing we've got is this computer concepts invoice, and I've done a little bit of homework. This happened back in February, is that right? So I talked to PDS, I talked to Joe this week, and I mean, they admit that the backup was missed, their technician didn't pick it up. So basically, they were responsible for doing the backups, and and it didn't occur on this one machine, and we lost tickets that had to be rebilled. I don't think, from my conversation with Joe, he had a whole lot of input on how it was recovered. I think Terry just sort of jumped in and took off with that at Computer Concepts. But at the end of the day, we had to have the recovery. We had to have the tickets put in. And we contracted with Computer Concepts. Even though we paid them in advance, they did quite a bit of extra work to get this finished. So my recommendation would be that we pay this invoice. We need Terry going forward. We're still transitioning our software, it's my understanding. We're still converting over to ScaleWorks. And, we still need him for his assistance to get things transitioned over. And he did do this work. So that's one part of my recommendation. Joe acknowledges they were at fault. And, you know, reluctant to do so. He didn't have a lot of control in the recovery process. He says, you know, if we have to pay the whole bill, we have to pay it. I guess my thoughts are this: we contracted with Terry. Joe didn't. Joe didn't have a lot of say-so in how the process went, but they did cause the problem to happen because the backup didn't occur. So my thoughts would be to go ahead and pay the full invoice, and for the landfill to bill PDS for half of that, and that we share in it with him on this issue. Now that's my thoughts. I don't know what your all thoughts would be.
Are they willing?
Who, PDS?
Yeah.
He's willing to pay the whole thing. I just don't think, he didn't contract with Terry, we did. He didn't get the, Terry created a screen to re-enter the tickets manually. Joe was trying to encourage him to create an Excel file where we could just input the data and upload it back into the software, which probably would have been quicker. So I don't think it's Joe's fault that this entire bill was created. I think some of that came from Terry, and that's doing business with Terry. Terry does not want to pay an invoice from Computer Concepts. He said he would pay an invoice if it was sent to him by the solid waste board. So I would entertain a motion to pay the full, and we owe, after April 1st, the amount's $4,275. So that we pay the, I would entertain a motion from someone that we pay this invoice in full to Computer Concepts.
And this is Terry, right?
This is Terry, yes, this is Terry. Computer Concepts is Terry.
So you
This is the last thing we have to deal with him.
I hope, because our contract runs out with him at the end of June, so that's where we're at.
Are you asking us to pay half of that? The full?
No, he's wanting us to pay full, and then he will reimburse us half.
What I'm asking is that the landfill would pay the full invoice, and then the landfill would invoice PDS for half the cost of this invoice because they failed to do the backups. That's what my request for a motion would be. So do we have a motion to do that?
I make a motion.
Okay.
I second.
Have a second? Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mike Bell,
Yes.
Bob Garrett,
Yes.
Tim Warner,
Yes.
Keith Jackson,
Yes.
Matt Lacy,
Yes.
Pat McGuffin,
Yes.
Angela Smallfault,
Yes.
Tom Rush.
Yes. Okay, that's the, before we go on to the new business with Amy, there were two invoices at the end of your board packet from Stowers, and those are not, those are part of the budget. So those are some capital expenditures that Dennis has requested go into the new budget. And we're just sharing these invoices so you can see what that work would be for. One is for undercarriage